Verraten Sie mir was. Warum fällt es Ihnen so schwer, diesen Mann zu töten?
Er kannte einfach jeden Schritt von mir, bevor ich ihn machte.
What is your favorite action movie of all time?
Oh. No, I like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That's the kind of action movie I like. Yeah, I think Die Hard, all of this is great. Terminator 2, a good one. Oh, there are so many good ones.
Okay.
I couldn't even tell you. There's so many great filmmakers. I'm a big fan of David Lean, Bridge on the River Kwai, and Lawrence of Arabia. I don't know if you call them action movies. They're great character studies, but he was an amazing filmmaker.
And would you say, perhaps Bridge of the River Kwai was a movie that made you say, hey, I want to be a producer, or I want to make movies?
Absolutely. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I just knew I loved the medium. I loved going to the cinema and watching these great actors and great directors. And that, for me, was my vacation, going there. So I was very lucky that I got involved in cinema, and every day is a vacation.
And how do you select the projects you produce or the movies you produce?
It's very simple. Do I want to see it? That's it. If it's something I want to see, then I want to make it. It's hard to work on something that you really have no interest in.
And what interested you on Gemini Man?
Well, I think, being chased by your younger self is a great concept. And the fact that we could actually create Junior, and Aang figured out a way to do it. We had no idea it was going to work, by the way, including Aang. So he did God's work. He created a young Will Smith, which is, based on Will's performance, we created a digital human being, all done by Weta and Aang. So it's Will's performance based on his muscle structure in his face. They created every muscle in his face, recreated it.
And when you first read the script of Gemini Man, did you knew it already that you will create a digital person, or that you will shoot it in 120 frames per second?
No idea, none. That technology wasn't available at that time. So, it took a long time for the technology to catch up with our screenplay.
Can you quickly recall for our viewers, did you first know I will shoot this movie in 120 FPS, or I will have a complete digital character in it? What was first?
Yes, I knew that from last movie. That's how I started it. I just want to keep exploring and learn that at 120 and 4K, 3D, because I believe I saw a new language in cinema. That's an immersive cinema experience. It's just the way your eyes process the image and put together in your head is different. It's a different mindset. That's very exciting, new language to me. So I was pursuing that since Life of Pi. So that was for sure. Digital, I tried before. Once not so successful because I was the first one to try, I believe. That was the Hulk 20 years ago. And then I try again with a Tiger by the same principle, but quite successful, I will say. And now it's time to finish that unfinished business and let me give it a try on a human level at this media. So once I hear the idea that pop into my mind, it's time for me to try to reach out for that.
Someone has to do it. Is shooting with such a high frame rate, is it more difficult or does it give you more freedom?
It's both. You have to earn your freedom. So it is more difficult for now. I hope someday it becomes so easy anybody can pick up. Then it'll be more versatile and we can develop the language of that art. It is very difficult now because it's new. Nobody to teach you, and you don't know how people accept it because we're tuned into a certain way of watching movies. Now you move people from here to there. Can they get used to it? So I know eventually we go there. That's the logical next step in developing like color, like sound. Now you have dimension, you have immersiveness, you have clarity, you go to the next level of experiencing dramatic, more direct dramatic event. It's kind of matter-of-factly to me, but how do you make that transition? That part is really hard. The ecosystem doesn't really support it.
And what do you expect? How long will it take that the people accept this kind of, for me, clarity?
Well, my last movie, I hope they did, but partly did in Asia, but not everywhere else. And I certainly hope now is the time. If not, I hope I get to try it again. But if we don't do it now, sometime later, somebody will figure it out. I think it's very logical. I didn't do anything fancy. Right now, if you ask me, 120 is normal speed. It's not high speed. It's just like strobe free. Clarity, that's how we see it. You know, we're used to dealing with strobe and blur, and the flatness. We create something. That's the form of art. It's sophisticated. It's one of the greatest things ever happened to a human being. Now let's try something else. See what this brings us. They're different. I don't think it's a good or bad, or improvement. It's a different experience.
And with all the technological knowledge you already gained and which is already in development, would you or could you imagine remaking, for example, a movie like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, for example, or a new superhero movie?
I think the fictional, stylish movie such as superhero or martial art movie, I think is actually easier, because we're more willing to the suspense of disbelief. I think you give a larger, even musical, even romantic comedy. I think it's actually can be easier, not because it's more realistic. You're not. I don't think so, because we're easier to take something new with the exacter fashion. My last movie and this movie is a good example. This movie is fictional. It seems to work better in this media so far. Maybe I just know better. Last one was you take people to war, and they feel very edgy, uncomfortable. So it's really hard to say. I think realism is just a way to lure people in. And in fact, I think eventually digital allow us to go even more abstract than before. I think so. I think there's a lot of potential because it's new. It's full of possibilities.
If you read a script like Gemini Man, is it hard for you to switch off the calculator in your mind, or is it always on?
Well, I just want to be entertained. I read things that hopefully I get engaged with the characters. It's a good theme, and it's something I want to make. You know, does the story flow? Do I love the characters? You know, is there something redeeming about them? And for you as a producer, what was the hardest sequence or scene or location to bring on the screen in Gemini Man? Well, I think everything was difficult. We were in the swamps of Savannah, Georgia. We were all eaten up by these bugs, these gnats. We had to send people to the hospital because they had so many bites on them. So every day was a challenge. What is the movie that, of the movies you produce, what is the movie that impacted you the most? You know, I think they're all part of your I guess, your legacy and what you've done. Everyone's a new adventure, and I love them all. For me, as someone who watched so many movies that you produce, also with Don Simpson, for me, your movies always had this kind of red and yellow atmosphere or color grading or something like this, but it changed over the years. Did you notice this also, or is it just for you, hey, it's my movie, I don't see that way? I think it's the directors we use, you know, the cinematographers we use, so as they evolve, the texture of the film changes.
Ihr habt entschieden, mir das anzutun.
Das, was dich quält, ist die Angst. Akzeptiere sie und überwinde sie.
Von allen auf der Welt, die mich umbringen wollen, warum schickt er ausgerechnet dich?